The snows came early that year in the northern hills of Wyoming. Jace Walker, the last cowboy of Laramie Ridge, wasn't one for tall tales or nonsense. He rode fence lines, fixed busted generators, and fed the cattle in silence. But the morning he heard the weak cry echoing from a frozen pond down by Black Hollow, he knew something wasn't right. Coyotes didn't make sounds like that. The pond was glassed over in thick ice. Snow draped the trees and buried the rocks in white silence. At first, Jace thought it was a bird flailing beneath the ice, until he saw the shimmer of deep green scales, small wings press against the frozen surface, and a long tail twitching sluggishly. It was a baby, not a reptile, not a bird, something else. Its eyes blinked under the ice, slitted and intelligent, full of pain and fear. Jace didn't hesitate. He swung the butt of his rifle and cracked the ice with a grunt. Over and over. Cold water splashed his coat and soaked his gloves, but he kept swinging until the last layer shattered, and he pulled the small creature out with both hands. It barely weighed more than a calf, but it shivered violently, covered in frost and cuts. Its claws weakly gripped his shirt. "Easy there, little one," he murmured. "You're all right now." Back at his cabin, he wrapped the creature in blankets and warmed it by the fire. He expected it to snarl or flee once it woke. Instead, it just stared at him, large eyes blinking slowly, occasionally letting out a soft trill like a kitten's purr. It tried to stand, but its legs buckled. "Still weak, huh? Well, lucky for you. I've got extra soup and nothing better to do." He made a broth, which the creature slurped awkwardly. Then it curled up near his boots, wings twitching, finally asleep. By the third day, it had enough strength to move around the cabin. It followed Jace like a pup, curious about his tools, fascinated by the fire. When he spoke to it, it tilted its head and tried to mimic sounds, sometimes managing small chirps in response. "You an alien, huh?" he asked while patching a saddle strap. "Not from around these parts, that's for sure." The creature blinked, then carefully pressed a tiny, glowing claw to its own chest. A series of clicks and low hums followed. "Name." Jace guessed. "Yours." It repeated the gesture, then looked at him expectantly. "All right, I'll call you Ember." The hatchling gave a soft trill, pleased. But Ember wasn't just healing. He was growing fast. Within a week, he was the size of a goat, wings stretched wider. His color deepened, a mix of dark emerald and burnt gold. And then came the night the lights arrived. Jay saw them through his window, hovering ships, black as coal and silent. They descended over the tree line like hunting hawks. Ember let out a low, warbling whine and pressed against Jace's legs. "You know them?" Jace whispered. Ember nodded, fear in his eyes. "They're looking for you." The boy dragon was trembling now. Jace knelt down. "You wanted to hide you?" A small chirp. "Yes." He grabbed his coat and rifle. "Then we best hurry." He led Ember to the old root cellar behind the barn, deep and cold, but shielded with thick beams and covered in snow. "You stay quiet, no matter what." Ember gave a reluctant nod, eyes wide. Jay stepped out just in time to see one of the ships land in his front field. A tall figure descended, not quite human, not quite beast, wings folded, face masked in armor. "Human," it said, voice distorted but clear. "We seek a lost juvenile." "You talk plain enough," Jace replied, firm. "Ain't seen no one like that." The alien tilted its head. Scans show life signs inconsistent with local fauna. "You calling my cows liars?" The alien stepped closer. "Return the hatchling, and you will be unharmed." Jace's jaw clenched. "I found someone near death in that frozen pond. That makes him mine to protect." A moment of silence. Then the alien moved. Jace fired once. A warning shot. Back off. The alien stopped, then turned slowly. Then you, too, are under the watch of our kind now. The Drakari do not forget those who help their young. The ships lifted without a fight. Gone. Later, when Ember emerged, shaking and cold, Jace dropped to a knee. They're gone, kid. You're safe. Ember pressed his head into Jace's chest. He didn't purr. He hummed, a low, resonant note that sent warmth through Jace's bones. Then something happened. The dragon's chest glowed briefly, and a mark, shaped like a spiral flame, appeared on Jace's hand. He reeled back. What in the... But Ember just trilled softly and curled at his feet. The mark faded into warmth. In the days that followed, life continued. Cows needed feeding. Fences broke. Snow fell again. But Jace wasn't alone anymore. Ember grew, talked in chirps and hums, and sometimes pointed to stars at night as if remembering home. Jace didn't ask questions. He just saddled his horse and let the dragon walk beside him like any loyal companion. And every time he looked at the scar glow on his hand, he remembered the cold ice, the creature beneath it, and the choice he made.